Hi, I'm Alex. I am the wholesale manager and tech lead here at Flux Coffee. Today we're going to be showing you how to clean and zero out the burrs on an EK43. Super easy to do, can seem daunting at first, but with the right tools it happens real quick. Speaking of right tools, we're going to need a flathead screwdriver, an adjustable wrench or pliers, a 2.5mm Allen key, and the rest is optional, but it makes it really helpful. Here I have a bottle of Adenol. This will help clean and lubricate the burrs. I have a small rag to help distribute that oil, and then a brush. These last three tools can be found in the Comandante Burr Care Kit that we saw on our website at fluxcoffee.com. To get started, we're going to go ahead and just undo these two screws here on the front of the grinder. So we're just going to go in. I like to go ahead and just do these little by little from left to right, just so I don't have the entire face of the grinder swing out as I take off these screws. But as we open it up, the first thing that we're going to be met with is going to be, here's that swing out I was talking about. There we go, we can lay this flat. First thing that we're going to see here is this shear plate right in the middle. The shear plate's super important. So if at any time your grinder is under load, or perhaps there's a screw or anything that could happen to damage these burrs, this shear plate in the middle will take the brunt of all force. It will snap before anything in your grinder does. Super replaceable, super easy, super essential. For now, we're gonna go ahead and take it out, reach right in there and slide it out. As we can see, this is a little dirty from the last time we lubricated it. We're gonna go ahead and clean that. The next thing that's gonna come out is the front burr. We're just gonna go ahead and grip and just give it a gentle pull. Fantastic. And here is the front burr. As we see in there, we have the back burr, and we see a little bit of coffee debris. Now is a fantastic time to take your brush and go ahead and just start brushing away some of that debris. We're actually gonna get a vacuum in there once we clear all this loose coffee out, just to make sure that we're not ever grinding old coffee into new coffee. That's the main goal here. And you just want to do a general scrubbing on the burrs. The vacuum will get the rest. If perhaps it's been a while since your grinder's maintained, you might find that there is coffee oil that's been solidified in there. At that point, I would just take a sharp pick and just start slowly scraping that away. You're not going to get that with a brush. I'm just going to grab my vacuum here. Fantastic. And now I'm going to do the same thing with the front burr. Sometimes you might find that the front burr and the back burr are hard to separate. Mahlkonig does sell burr removal tools. They're really helpful in those situations, but a great preventative maintenance thing to do in order to make sure that in the future it is easy to remove, white lithium on the grinding shaft here. A lot of people will use whatever lubricant they have around. A lot of these lubricants are made for rubber on metal or rubber on rubber. White lithium is perfect for metal on metal. It'll ensure that this is sliding in and out as it needs to. Now we're gonna go in with the Adenol here. I don't use too much. Just a couple dabs on the rag will do. And the purpose of this oil here is to ensure that these burrs last as long as possible. We wanna make sure that we're keeping them healthy so they don't need to be replaced, ideally. And once I've distributed the oil on those, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing on the front burr. When the burrs are new, they can be a little sharp. I just like to make sure I keep the rag between my hand and the burr itself, just to avoid getting cut. Great. Now that these are all clean, we can go ahead and reinsert. When reinserting your front burr, you want to make sure you line up this notch with the notch that's on the grinder. It's going to be easier to do so before inserting it rather than inserting it and then trying to finagle it into the right position. So I'm going to get it as close as I can. Perfect. And now that the front burr's inserted, it's a great time just for aesthetics and for cleanliness to just get in there with your flathead and just clean away any of this coffee debris. You don't want to be aggressive, you don't want to scratch into the metal at all, but some of this coffee debris can come away safely. Fantastic. For good measure, I like to just use some of this on the face just to get things nice and shiny. Now we're going to go ahead and clean off our shear plate. My goal here is to not really clean off all of the old lubricant I've placed on there. It's still good. I'm just trying to make sure that there's no coffee matter still attached to it, which there is not. As we reinsert the shear plate, we want to ensure that the side with the cutaway is facing us as we go ahead and insert, and it should just fit right into place. That's that. Now I'm just going to grab the front of my dial and just give it a wipe to make sure there's no debris left over. For those curious as to how dial adjustments work on an EK43, it's actually very simple. The burr is separated from the back burr with a spring, and this dial adjustment just raises and lowers this plate, which brings the burrs closer or further away from each other. They're actually really simple and really easy to maintain. We're going to go ahead and replace the front of our grinder. I like to get one screw started in there just to hold it steady, and then get the other screw in. Now, just like anything else with multiple screws, you want to ensure that you tighten little by little on either side, or else you're going to have one side higher than the other, leading to potentially damaging your burrs, or just an inconsistent grind at best. Fantastic. So now our burrs are clean, but we are not done. We have to zero the grinder. Anytime I open up any grinder, I like to zero it out before calling it done. Zeroing out the burrs on an EK is one of the easiest procedures I've ever witnessed. They make it super easy. All we have to worry about are 2 set screws. So you'll find them stock covered by these little rubber feet. I've already removed one for simplicity. We're just going to go ahead and remove this other one. We're just going to remove this rubber foot here. Great. And now at that point, that leaves us 2 holes right here that lock the dial into place. What I like to do at this point is get it as fine as it can go, because that's what we're concerned with. We're concerned about zeroing it out. And I'm going to grab my 2.5mm Allen key. I'm simply going to loosen one, just until it's loose, and then find the other, and loosen that one. At this point, we can make any adjustments on the grinder and nothing would happen because it's not attached to the center. So what we're going to do here is we're going to set it as low as we can go, 0. And we're going to turn on the grinder. Now the goal at this point is to rotate this inner portion, which controls the distance of the burrs, until we hear a slight chirping. That's going to tell us that the burrs are touching and they're as close as they can come. It's important not to do so aggressively. We don't want to shear anything off the burr. We don't want to damage the burr. We are just going to slightly turn clockwise until we hear the faintest chirp and then back away a bit. That's all. So, we can start to hear a little, there it is. That's the chirp. We're going to back away. Perfect. We can go ahead and shut the grinder. Now, it's important that we do not move anything. It's currently at 0, but it's not locked in. Thankfully, just locking in one of the screws will keep it in place so that we can then rotate this all together and get to the other. All right. At this point, your burrs are clean. They've been zeroed. All that's left to do is grind through some coffee and just remove the oil residue that's on those burrs. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. Cheers. How do you end the video, bro? I hope this was helpful. If you guys have any recommendations or questions on any other tech you want to see either maintained, cleaned, reviewed, shoot them our way, leave them in the comments, let us know. Regardless, I hope you have a great day, and I hope you have fantastic coffee today.